Washington, U.S. President Donald Trump said on Wednesday that he will know by next week whether the June 12 summit in Singapore with North Korea leader Kim Jong Un will take place. But in a new twist, Russia said on Wednesday that it will send Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov to North Korea, likely ahead of the Trump-Kim summit, further complicating the outlook for the U.S. leader. It could very well happen. Whatever it is, we'll know next week about Singapore. And if we go, I think it will be a great thing for North Korea, Trump told reporters on Wednesday. We see, he added. Members of the White House negotiating team, including Deputy Chief of Staff for Operations Joe Hagan and Deputy National Security Advisor Mira Ricardel, will fly to Singapore this weekend, to continue preparations for the president's June 12 meeting with North Korean leader Kim Jong Un, White House Deputy Press Secretary Rod Shah told the Nikkei Asian Review. Our Singapore hosts are extremely gracious and committed to helping both sides. The Washington Post reported that the trip comes less than 2 weeks after a North Korean delegation failed to show up for a similar planning meeting with U.S. officials in the island country, a failure that raised red flags at the White House. The president signaled his frustration on Tuesday, saying that the summit could be postponed to a different date if certain conditions were not met. His annoyance was targeted not only at Pyongyang's recent recalcitrance but also toward Chinese President Xi Jinping, who he called a world-class poker player. From Trump's perspective, preparations for the historic meeting had seemed to be proceeding smoothly until Kim made a second surprise visit to China in early May. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo testifies in a hearing of the U.S. House Foreign Affairs Committee on Capitol Hill in Washington on Wednesday. On Wednesday, U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, who has visited Pyongyang twice in preparation for the Trump-Kim summit, disclosed some of his conversations with Kim at a House Foreign Affairs Committee hearing. When I spoke with him, I could not have been clearer about the scope of the verification work that would be required, all of the elements that would be necessary in order for America to understand that there had been real denuclearization, he said. In return, he made clear it was important to him that when that time came, when those objectives had been achieved, that he in return would receive economic help from America, in the form of private sector businesses, knowledge, know-how, and foreign assistance, Pompeo said. The Secretary of State also said the North Korean leader wanted security assurances from the world, an end to the state of war between the two Koreas and eventually a peace treaty. I'm very hopeful that he and President Trump will get a chance to elaborate on that further in the next couple weeks, the top U.S. diplomat said. But both sides have many hurdles to clear before that summit could take place. It seems both sides are having difficulty agreeing on how much time to spend on each topic at the summit, as well as who joins the two leaders at the table. Needless to say, the definition of denuclearization, said Tetsuo Kitani, an associate professor at Japan's Mikai University. The summit may have to be delayed by several weeks or months. North Korea is insisting on a gradual approach to denuclearization, in which each step would bring rewards, such as sanctions relief. This approach is unacceptable to Trump, who said that past administrations have tried it and failed. The president reiterated his position on Tuesday that he wants an all-in-one approach to denuclearizing the North. China, on the other hand, appears to support Kim's preferred course. Beijing is loath to let the U.S. and North Korea strike a deal over its head, which could undermine Chinese clout on the Korean peninsula. So China appears to be working to shore up its influence. After the United Nations Security Council imposed sanctions on the North, China at one point clamped down on trade across the border, but it now seems to be easing those controls. the U.S.-China tug-of-war over North Korea coincides with, and could end up increasingly linked to, an ongoing trade dispute between the two powers. Ken Moriyasu in New York contributed to this report.